welcome to Teach It Your Way podcast. Oh my God, it is a new year, and with the new year comes new content. And so I'm so excited to be sharing this space again with you to talk about the education system. Don't watch a glitch in the screen. Homegirl needs a new computer. So comment below if you can get me one. I'm just kidding. But today we have a very special guest. Her name is Marisha Johnson. She's an educator for 9 years. She's a culture agent, an author. Get her book on Amazon. I'll definitely put the link somewhere here so that you guys can go ahead and purchase her book. She's a mom for a beautiful baby girl, and she's a vibes master. And she is a favorite amongst the parents. Trust me, a parent told me this. Well, she's one who is very passionate about reading. And so today we're going to dive right into talking about effective reading strategies. So, welcome, Marisha.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Mrs. Williams. I'm excited to be here today. So excited.
So excited. You know, as teachers, we love to
Yes.
talk. We love to talk. So, it is already in our nature just to educate you and educate anyone we come in contact with. And so I'm pretty sure that a lot of you teachers and parents will have an appreciation for the nuggets that will be shared here today. And so without further ado, I just want to go ahead and ask Miss Johnson to share with us about effective reading strategies. So, Miss Johnson, how do you teach students at varied levels of reading in the classroom?
All right. As a teacher in a dynamic classroom, you have students at different levels, right? So, of course, our lesson plans, they have to be differentiated, whether the child is non-starter, primer, or at the reading level and so on. So we have to differentiate our lesson plans for them. But in order for us to move a child from non-starter to a reading level, that there are certain steps that we have to take in our there. So first and foremost, we have to ensure that they have a phonemic awareness.
Yes.
So I say from day one, from even before our children are talking, we have to be playing our alphabet, our letter sounds and so on. We start by doing playing videos or saying words for them to identify initial sounds in words, and that is just basic phonemic awareness.
Yes.
And then we would move on to letter sounds. And I want to say that letter sounds must be taught instead of letter names.
Ooh.
So as a parent, we have to ensure that we teach our children letter sounds instead of letter names. Because if you think about it, children letter names, how are they going to decode a word to pronounce it when they know the letter name?
That's it.
Right?
That makes so much sense.
Yes, we have to ensure that we teach them the letter sounds. And letter sounds, it does not only take in the 26 letters of the alphabet.
Yeah.
We have 44 letter sounds, and those letter sounds depend on, variations or pronunciations or accents and so on. So, some accents may pronounce it differently.
Yeah.
But to get a child from non-starter, we focus on 26 letter sounds of the alphabet first. And once we do the letter sounds, I don't know if you can put on the screen for me.
All right.
We call this the basic code for letter sounds when teaching a beginning reader.
All right, let's pop that on the screen here.
So it is advised that when we are teaching our children letter sounds, beginning as non-starters, we start with these letters, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can say, for example, week 1, we teach those letters up there, SATIPN, and one teach them those letter sounds for the first week. We can get quite a few 2-letter words or 3-letter words from just teaching them those letter
Those letter
sounds.
sounds.
And we have the CEHRMCL. So we try to teach them those letter sounds. And these are the basic letter sounds. It's not the 26, but it advised that we teach them these at the foundation stage.
Okay.
All right. Once we do the letter sounds, then we can get our children to move on to blending, especially these letter sounds. All right. So step 1, phonemic awareness, they identify initial sounds in words, and then we move on to these basic letter sounds. And once they master all these letter sounds that you have here on the screen, we move on to blending. All right. And blending takes in CVC words.
Right.
All right. So consonant, vowel, consonants. We do at, or we do at. And so we can do 2-letter words as well. And we have to practice blending basically in everything that you do around the house, as a parent. And I always tell my parents, you don't leave the job up to the teacher alone.
That's true.
Allow us to be a classroom as well.
Yeah. The home is the first institution.
First institution. So you're in the house with your child, you're in the kitchen, and let me use my daughter for reference. Niger, can you pass me the up? So you're trying to get them to decode the word. What is mommy saying? What is mommy trying to say? Can you, Niger, go and sit on the at?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to use the home as a classroom as well, and you're right. You try to help them learn blending, because if it is that they're non-starters and they don't understand that letters make words, then what we have to do to get them to bring the two together. Letters makes words, and then between putting blending together CVC words and so on, we move on to sight words. So as you know, the sight words, we consider sight words as words that are, they have English rules to it, or the letters cannot be sound out one by one.
One by one.
Right. For example, one. For example.
Yeah.
And we teach them basic sight words based on the level that they are at, because they learn to read simple words or simple CVC words. They are going to come across sight words that, if we're teaching them letter sounds and they come upon the word one, right away they're going to try to sound out individual letters.
Exactly.
So we have to teach them the rule. We have to let them know that some words are sight words, and we just have to see them, practice to spell them, and learn them down. So we have to do that in between blending and sight words. And after they learn certain sight words, then we can move on. Our children can now learn to read simple sentences. Because they have learned some CVC words, they have learned some sight words,
they can
simple sentences. And once they are reading simple sentences, then we can pop in some comprehension into it, because we don't want to leave that out any at all, because
that's true.
We want them to think critically as they are going along and so on, right? And then it is a lot to take in, but it's just the different steps to it. So right after they learn simple sentences and, we're popping in our comprehension, we move on to word families.
Yes.
And word families taking simple word families to advanced. So it comes in beginning reader and it comes in advanced reader.
Advanced readers. Mm-hmm.
We have the at family, right? We can make words like mat, hat, pat, rat, and so on. Word families help you to see words anywhere, and right away you understand that, oh, this is a family that I already learned
Already
about.
know. Yeah.
Right? All they need to learn is the initial letter because they know that family
Yes.
already.
Yes.
So
Yes.
comes right after they have learned some sight words. So again, after the word family, they continue practice
Mm-hmm.
reading. They read books with a certain word family. They read books with certain words that they're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with, and so on. And we try to put games and so on with a bit of twist to it because we want to cement what we are teaching them.
Teaching.
We
Mm-hmm.
move on to another step when what we taught before is not cemented. So we just have
Exactly.
to incorporate games. We have to be, as teachers and parents, we have to be consistent in everything that
Yes.
sometimes as parents we try to teach them the letter sounds this week and they did not get it, and right
And we
away
move on. They don't get
and
it.
right
And you
on they
you mentioned you mentioned so many different factors here that we have to really glean in on and take into consideration, that we have to cultivate an environment that is print rich for the children, and
is it
an environment that will cultivate the love for reading.
a
Um
love for
yeah, because I no boys, none of the boys in our classroom wants to read about the princess and whatever, and girls and
that.
makeup and those kind of stuff. So we want to also find out what's interesting for our
Yeah,
students, and
right.
really give
The
them
children
materials, push materials towards them that they will be interested in
they
learning.
will say to you are right, because as it relates to letter sounds, there are so many ways that letter sounds can be taught. You
Mm-hmm.
have a group of students, all our children are different. You have a diverse classroom. You put them in a circle, you use a ball,
Yeah.
and you say, I'm going to, all right, okay, class, I'm going to throw the ball to you. Whoever catches the ball, they must tell me a word that begins with the sound ah,
Yeah.
whichever sound you want to learn at the time. I always say for my daughter, I use the tiles at home. I
Mm-hmm.
use the tiles at home to teach letter sounds. I use my washable marker and I
Mm-hmm.
write my letters on there and I say, all right, jump on the letter that says B. And she would do that.
Yeah.
And it's fun for her because she's learning her
It's
letter
learning
sounds.
and having
Yeah,
fun. Yeah, and
yeah,
there's so many things around the home that parents can use to help children to develop their learning or reading skills. Because
anything.
when I think back in the days when I used to teach my cousins, I used to use
Mhm,
newspaper. And traditionally, a style that we used to use is making flashcards. Those still work. I think
mhm.
they still work.
Of course.
And I really want
Yeah.
to ask you a question surrounding that, though, that
Mhm,
how can we create a balance between traditional methods and modern
mhm.
methods to really
Right.
teach reading?
All right. All right. First of all, I must say that our parents or teachers back then, I believe that they did the best they could with what they knew.
Yeah,
But as as we go along, as we become more aware of how to
aware.
do things,
Hmm.
you know, we understand that our children, they are evolving and it's not the same. So we just have to try to adapt
Adapt
and
to the
try.
time. Hmm.
Right. So technology.
Yeah,
You try to zoom in on what children are doing now, what they gravitate to now. So if you realize that, all right, they love to be on the tablet, they love a lot of screen time and so on. We're gonna incorporate screen time.
screen
Since you love
time.
screen
Yeah.
time, all right, let us use screen time to learn. And this is what I always tell my parents.
Hmm.
It's not just to allow them to watch the Roblox and all of that. Nothing is wrong with Roblox, but
Hmm.
allow children to watch some letter sounds.
Yes,
Allow,
yes.
yes, to read. There are stories on there with simple sentences.
Simple. We want to keep this succinct, and we're hearing lots of information, lots of valuable information here. I just want to find out before we go that, what are some tips that we can give to teachers who are coming out of the colleges? That in college they teach you some semblance
Yeah.
of reading strategies, but when you get to the classroom, it's a total different thing.
You are absolutely correct. What I learned in college, like I said before, those who taught then, they did the best they could, what they knew. So let me
But
just
then
bring
you,
that across. However, they teach you to an extent, but
mm-hmm,
when you get into the classroom and you have to deal with this diverse set of students, we have students with learning disabilities, it is a lot. My advice would be to get to know your students, and
yeah,
after you have your IDRI, that's the first thing we have to do, is to diagnose them. You will know where your children are.
level,
Once you know where they are, the level that they're at,
mm-hmm,
then get an action plan done. What are your plans? What are your steps? Do some IIPs for these
mm-hmm,
children with exceptionalities or
yeah,
struggles with in some area, and map out a plan and decide how you want to help them. If John does not know 10 letter sounds out of the 26 that is there on the IDRI,
mm-hmm,
by the end the first term as a new teacher, this is what I want to do. I will be doing hopscotch games. I will be allowing John to do this and that in class to allow him to get to learn these letter sounds by a certain time. Sure that you know the steps to getting a child to read from non-starter to advanced level. And once you know and understand the steps, you can research different activities for each step that will help you to assist a child in moving from one level to the next. All right. Once you learn the steps, man, then you should be good.
should be good.
Should be
No worries. It should be good. And
good.
we're teachers, we're lifelong learners. So even if you don't know something, there is this big wide web that we can
That
research.
there are a lot as a teacher, there are a lot of things that I did not know. Like I said, did not learn in college that I had to research. And
Sure.
I developed this love for reading when I had my daughter. When I
Yeah.
had my I was a teacher, I was teaching reading, and that was it. But when I had my daughter, as a teacher, you can't be putting all this energy in other children, and yours not
Neglecting your
getting that
own.
same amount.
That's
So I
true.
had to do a lot of research, and I had to ensure. And now I have a 3-year-old daughter who is reading.
And she reads well,
So
guys. Beautiful.
she's so
So smart.
just learn the steps, and you should be good. Research whatever else needs to, and it will flow.
Thank you so much, Miss Johnson. And so for the viewers, one more time, can you just state the steps once more to get students to read from beginners to advanced?
All right. So one, as I said, we start with our letter sounds. We go with our letter sounds. After our letter sounds, the letter names will come. After the letter sounds, then we move on to blending. Simple 2-letter words and 3-letter words. And you have to remember, when you're teaching children blending, it takes practice and it takes patience. You have to be consistent, especially when they don't understand that letters make words.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
After blending, then sight words. Then we move on to simple sentences, word families. We add on our practice reading and our comprehension in between, and we use games to help them with the simple sentence and to cement what was taught.
That's right.
Once that's done, then we have covered beginning reading for the non-starters. And once we want them to move on now to a more advanced level, then we go into the diagraphs, the long and short vowels, the vowel teams, consonant blends, and the silent letters. And that is basically the steps for
Basically the
teaching a child
steps.
to read from foundation to advanced.
Yeah. It can happen, teachers and parents. Definitely can. I remember teaching students at a fourth grade level who didn't know how to spell their names.
Yes,
But
man, we have
it takes dedication. It takes
that.
dedication to get these students from beginning to the advanced level.
We have the children, who are in grade 6 who do not know letter
Letter
sounds. You
sounds.
understand?
High
And
school
that is
also.
reality, the high school. That is our reality. It is not hard, it can be done, but
Yes,
we as teachers and parents, we want to ensure that we get them as early as
as
possible.
possible, for sure. For sure. So, as we wrap up this lovely section, I just want to ask you, Miss Johnson, if you have any other tips to throw out there to parents or teachers who are watching this session today.
I would say, you have to develop a space where your child or your students will love reading.
Mm-hmm.
All right. As a teacher and a mother, my house is also a classroom.
Classroom, yeah.
My daughter's room is she has her alphabet chart. She has her cards. My house is labeled, as you can see behind me,
Behind
right?
you. And
That
I just have a 3 months old baby, and every morning she goes to school.
that is it.
My
That is
husband
it.
puts the stimulation cards in the bassinet to get her used to seeing things from now from
Listen,
3 months.
listen,
Wait,
you have
rapid.
to if you want to make a reader, you have to model this type of
Model
behavior
it.
to your children to see you reading. You
Mm-hmm.
know, read to them. I've been reading to my daughter from she was in the
In the
belly.
home.
So
Yeah.
understand, I give her books more than I give her the
Fine.
tablet to watch and
Yeah.
so on. The mat that she eats on is an alphabet mat,
Alphabet
so
man.
she learns. So, once you're consistent, you label all the things in the household.
Yes.
You label the dresser, you label the sofa, you label the cupboard, so they see where and they are, familiarizing themselves
Familiarizing.
with
Mm-hmm.
it. So, that is my tips to parents, and also teachers, parents, please remember, teach the letter sounds first. And right
Mm-hmm.
now, what I want to tell you as well is there are actions that you can put to a letter sound. For example, if a child is having, and my daughter had an issue with the letter I, and
Mm-hmm.
the I says its name and the I also says E.
E.
So
Mm-hmm.
I had to say, all right, Niger, the I says E for each. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
do E for each or E, right? So
Yeah.
once you can teach them letter sounds with actions, and then
Actions. Mm-hmm.
the actions also they will remember because
Remember
they're
it. Mm-hmm.
moving and so on. And that is also critical thinking, because
That's true.
that is a technique and they have to remember certain techniques and movements and patterns.
For
They're
sure.
also in critical thinking while they're learning the actions, the letter sounds, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, this was an exciting episode.
It was. There's so much more to be covered, but that
Yeah,
has another
that's true. We'll have a
another
part two. We'll have a part two because
yes.
when you talk about reading, there's so many levels to this thing. We could go on and on talking about it tonight.
So many, because there's one more thing that I want to say. Well, when you are learning the letter sounds, as I said, the basic one that you put on the screen, those are the basic sounds. There are
Mm-hmm.
so many other
So
letter
many more.
sounds, for example, letters that come together to make a single sound.
Single sound.
And so those we talk about for the advanced readers as we
Yeah.
go up. But if you want to move a child from non-starter to reading, basic reading, then we go to the basic letter sounds instead of the advanced. So we'll do a part 2, and you can add
Yeah.
in the comments on what else you would like to learn.
Yes, for sure. Definitely go ahead and make your
Yes,
comments. And don't forget to share this video. It
yes,
might help a parent, it might help a teacher, so that we can cultivate an environment of reading to get our
right,
children literate. We are unlocking minds one page at a time. So thank you
definitely.
so much, Miss Johnson, for joining the Teach It Your Way
Thank
podcast
you
today.
Thank you for having me, Miss Williams. It was my pleasure.
All right, guys. So here we are signing out. Bye.